All of you, all of us, every being in creation on every level of creation are simply all the different ways that all that is has of experiencing itself. So you could say, perhaps, if you wish, that all that is the ultimate multiple personality, the ultimate schizophrenic. Nevertheless, that's what reality is. That's all it is consciousness interacting and intersecting with itself from all the different points of view that are possible for that consciousness to interact with itself in. That's all creation is. That's all experience is. And the only thing that really is real, per se, is the experience itself. Physical reality is just a mirror. It's just a reflection. It's just an illusion. What is real about it is the experience you create of it for yourself. That is what you take with you into your soul, into your consciousness. The experience as you define it. Thus, then, you can understand that in your attempts to manifest different kinds of realities, in your attempts to change your reality in ways that you may prefer, it really isn't about changing the outer reality. It's about changing yourself. It's about changing your perspective in order to get a different experience. Again, by analogy, we often use the mirror to illustrate this point. You have on your planet the idea of physical mirrors in which you can see your physical reflection. Physical reality is literally the very same idea. It's only a reflection, just like your reflection in the mirror. Now, if you're looking into a mirror and you see the reflection on your face frowning, you don't go over to the mirror and try to stretch the reflection into a smile. You understand that would be pointless. You understand the only way to see the reflection smile is for you to smile first. Then the reflection has no choice but to reflect that back to you. But what you have, because of your, shall we say, experience with limitation, come to believe, is that you have to change the outer reality first before you're willing to be happy in your inner reality. If you understand that your outer reality only takes its cue from you, then the choice to simply be who you prefer to be first is what will allow the outer reality reflection to reflect that back to you. But again, don't base it on the idea of what you see happening in the outer reality. Base it on the idea of how you respond to the reality, even if it looks the same. Because that's what lets you know you've really changed. Not gauging it on the idea of, well, I thought I was more spiritual than this. Why is this still happening in my life? This doesn't look like anything I wanted in my spiritual reality. But you must understand that all things are fundamentally neutral. No thing actually has built-in meaning. In fact, one of the greatest gifts that creation has given to all beings in creation, and don't take this in a negative way, because I don't mean it that way, is that life is meaningless. Absolutely meaningless. And what we mean by that is that nothing has built-in meaning. Everything is fundamentally neutral. Every situation, every circumstance is just a neutral prop. You have free will to assign meaning to life. You give life meaning. And when you give life a certain meaning, that's the effect you will get from that circumstance. Whatever meaning you put into something is the effect you will extract from something. So positive meaning in, positive effect out. Negative meaning in, negative effect out. This is just physics. That's all it is. It starts out neutral. But because of the way your civilization has been structured, you have been brought up to believe that certain things automatically mean certain things. And by having that automatic subconscious application, you don't even know you're doing it. You don't even know you're assigning meaning to things when they happen. You get certain effects and then sit there and scratch your heads and wonder why that happened. Why did you get that? Why do you feel this way? Why do you feel that way? It's all because of the definitions and belief systems you've been brought up to believe are true. And by assigning those meanings to all the situations in your life, you get a certain reflection. You get a certain kind of feedback, vibrationally. So, now is the age upon your planet where you're beginning to wake up to the understanding that you are creating your experience of reality, and that you are beginning to recognize that the way you do that is actually through your definitions of reality, your belief systems of reality. And getting in touch with what those definitions are and getting in touch with what those belief systems are is what will allow you to truly, truly experience the changes you say you wish to make. Now, again, the idea is that when you truly have changed, it's not about whether the outer reality looks different, because every situation can actually serve double duty. It's about how you respond differently to that will really then allow your reality the best opportunity to reflect to you what it is you prefer, in effect, in energy, in your life. So the idea is not to gauge what's going on in you by what's going on out there in terms of your success, your barometer of success, but to simply choose what you prefer, what state you prefer to be in, and understand that if you apply that point of view to everything that is happening in your life, no matter then what anyone else's intention in those situations might be, the only effect you will get out of your life is a positive one if you've only applied a positive meaning to that situation. That's your ability, your free will to determine utterly and completely. The universe cannot contradict you. When you believe in something, the universe completely supports you. Absolutely always has, absolutely always will. There is never a moment you are not supported. But Bashar, I feel unsupported. Yes, I know. But you see, then, if you have a belief that you cannot be supported, the universe is supporting you in your lack of belief that you can be supported. That's the paradox. That's what you want to get a hold of. That's what you want to focus on, is the power of the paradox in the situation. First, you have to understand you are always supported. Believe me, if you just look at it logically, if you were not completely, utterly, and always continuously and constantly supported, you wouldn't exist. So, if you exist, you're being supported. The question is not, are you being supported? The question is, what are you being supported in? You will always be supported by the universe in your strongest belief, because you have been given free will, and the universe takes its cue from you. Utterly. If you want to believe in lack, I support you in your belief. Have all the lack you want. That's how it works. But if you believe in abundance, the universe will not contradict you. It will support you as easily and effortlessly in the idea of your belief in abundance and creativity and love, as equally as it has supported you in any belief you may have had in the idea of lack and struggle and self-doubt. You see, this is the ultimate paradox. You are unconditionally supported, unconditionally loved, unconditionally. You are so unconditionally loved, you are even allowed to believe you are not unconditionally loved. That's how unconditionally loved you are. All that is loves you so much, it will still allow you to believe you are not loved if that's what's important for you to experience. It loves you that much. Unconditionally. Look it up in your own dictionaries. It means without condition. Of any kind. Whatsoever. Bless you. Now, the reason we are discussing again these ideas, these concepts, is because as you change your frequency, as you expand your understanding of what reality experience can be, as we said, you open up to the possibility that there are other aspects of creation, other beings, other civilizations, other consciousnesses. And as you open up any idea, any desire at all to communicate with them, each will respond according to kind and according to what best serves the entire interaction. Now, yes. Of course, there are beings, many on your own planet, that certainly don't have the idea of high regard for others, that certainly are what you might call negatively oriented. However, you don't really need to worry about that so much, in the idea of contacting other beings from other civilizations. Because those that have the capability in that sense of communicating you generally in this way will already have created a vibration within themselves that will be that which will only respond to that which will serve the best of all concerned. And only by being afraid of inviting in beings that will conquer you will you actually put yourself in a reality where you might have that experience. Although, again, it is unlikely. Because the idea of domination, the idea of conquering others, is a kind of vibration that is not very conducive to creating a link and a bridge to other civilizations, because we each actually exist in a completely different reality, in a completely different parallel universe. And those that are of a vibration to dominate may co-create with another civilization the idea of dominating them, and a civilization may create an idea of being dominated. But they exist in realities that don't consider the kinds of things you are considering now in your reality. That you are aware of and desirous of spiritual enlightenment. That you are aware of and desirous of consciousness awakening, in and of itself creates a frequency that makes it highly unlikely you will be vibrating at the same level as anyone who would want to create the idea of negativity and domination. So if you will put those ideas aside as belonging to another reality that has nothing to do with you, and recognize that you are always in control of what you experience in your reality, and that we are here by invitation only, and if you tell us to go, we are gone. Gone. Because we respect you. Then, the idea is you can relax into the understanding that anything you will attract that will help you in the direction of the expansion of your awareness will always bring with it only things that are part and parcel to the definition of that idea, and cannot bring with them things that are not of the same frequency. You cannot experience something you are not the frequency of, and vice versa. So the more you rise above the idea of fear, the less you create the opportunity for interacting with something that would feed off of that fear. That's, again, just simple physics. That's really all it is. Making a determination as to who you are, who you prefer to be, what state you prefer to exist in, and then simply recognizing the things that are germane to that state. They just go hand in hand. You cannot experience what you are not the vibration of. It's as simple as that. But if you contain the vibration of doubt, if you contain the vibration of fear, those are the things you allow yourself to experience in your reality. It's, again, as simple as that. But you are beginning to become more aware of this. And all of the different ways in which you are reminding yourself of this through all the different techniques, through all the different kinds of information being delivered to your planet now from all sorts of different levels, including yourself, to yourself, then you will begin to understand more and more every day that you are, in that sense, forming alliances with aspects of your consciousness that already have alliances with other beings. And that as you move into becoming more and more of your core, true, essential, natural self, that core, true, essential, natural self operates on a frequency level that by definition is already part and parcel of a kind of reality that is what you say you prefer to have on earth. And that by simply being more of yourself, you will bring that vibration down to earth and manifest that idea more and more every way, every day that you take action in the direction of what you say you prefer. Because you are physical beings, it requires more than just thought. It requires more than just desire. It requires more than just wishing. It requires action. It requires behavior that is harmonious and aligned with your beliefs, so that you create a circuit, complete a circuit, and ground the circuit to bring the energy all the way down to earth and let it flow through you creatively in whatever way, shape, or form you deem is most appropriate for the being you deem yourself to be. This is why we say it's so important, and why you've heard from so many different sources in your New Age movement, that it's so important to follow your bliss, follow your passion, follow your excitement. You hear this all the time now in your society. But many of you still don't know why that's important. Not really. Not mechanically. It's important because the vibration itself, the feeling itself, the sensation itself in your body that you call, that you recognize as excitement, bliss, and passion, that vibration is your physical body's translation of the frequency of your true, essential, core, natural self. So anything, any situation, any circumstance that contains that energy, that, shall we say, solicits that energy, that inspires that energy in you, it's a marker, it's a sign that that situation at that moment, that thing, that expression at that moment is most harmoniously aligned and most representative of your true, natural, core, essential being, and that the willingness to act on it completes the circuit, grounds the circuit, and allows for manifestation of all the things that are germane to that vibration in your reality that are capable of being manifested. Again, it's simple physics. As above, so below. That's all you're doing. You yourselves are the valves, the conduits. You yourselves are the links and the bridges from your higher template, non-physical selves, to your physical reality. It is through your actions, through your thoughts, through your desires, through your feelings, that you bring together a whole idea, a whole concept, a whole vibration, and ground it, anchor it, manifest it in your reality a bit more every day, in every way that you can. Does that make sense to you all? Yes. Now, as you progress in this idea of becoming more and more and more of the vibration of your true selves, you create a vibrational reality that makes it more and more and more conducive for others who are also operating that way as their true selves to interact with you, such as our civilization, other civilizations, and so forth. Now, again, please understand, when we speak of ourselves that way, we are not in any way, shape, or form saying we are better than you. We are not judging you. You are perfect as you are. We are equal to each other. We are simply different. But the similarities we have are where we form the links and where we form the bridges to allow us to co-create together a new reality in which we can together interact and generate new experiences, new exciting ideas that heretofore we didn't even imagine could be generated, could be experienced. We are more than happy to share with you the things that give us joy, the things that give us excitement, the ideas, techniques that work for us, that we know can work for you to create the reality you prefer if you wish to use them. But you don't have to use them. Again, we are imposing nothing on you. We are just sharing what has worked for us. If you want to use them, we guarantee that if you do use them, you will get an effect. If you don't want to use them, we guarantee you will get an effect. One way or the other, it will be the effect that's appropriate and right for you. And that's the most important thing. As we co-create a new reality together, it must be a reality that is the best for all concerned. Otherwise, there's no point for us in it, nor for you, really. So, as you become more of yourselves, and as we share with you ideas that might assist you in becoming more of yourselves, that process in and of itself will enhance, increase, and accelerate the likelihood of contact in other ways between your civilization and ours and other civilizations within our association of worlds and other beings and other civilizations yet to be discovered. That is really what contact is all about. It is the enhancement in a relationship with each other, of each other, by each other, for each other, to allow both to become more than they were before, more than the sum of the collective parts. And in that sense, add a new experience, so to speak, within all that is, so it experiences itself in yet again a new way, on a new level, from a new perspective. Yes, we understand the paradox that even though everything already exists, you can actually still have a new experience. But again, that's the power of creation itself. That's the power of paradox, and why we often recommend that you find it, that you look for it, that you seek out in any given situation the paradoxical elements. Because when you see the paradoxical elements in any given idea or concept, when you can see both sides, that means you're standing squarely in the center from which both ideas issue, and that means somewhere in the middle, in you, in your consciousness, that is where both of those seemingly contradictory ideas are actually the same one idea, just seen from different points of view. And that's when you truly know you are gathered together in the center of your being. When you're dealing with paradox in your life, you are truly blessed. For you're really standing at the crux of creation, right in the center of the crucible of manifestation, and you can learn to use paradox to your advantage. And we would recommend and suggest highly that you do so. Also, the understanding that as you begin to dissolve your concepts of space and time, you will also experience another kind of phenomenology in your life more and more, and that is something you have labeled synchronicity. Coincidence. Oh, that's just an accidental coincidence. There are no accidents. There are no accidents. Yes, there is randomness, but there are no accidents. There is orchestration on every level. And when you begin to experience either positive or negative synchronicity, as you may define it, the idea is that that shows you, it's a reflection, that shows you everything is connected. And depending upon the kind of vibration you are putting into it, will determine the kind of synchronicity that you get. Synchronicity, in that sense, is your way physically of interpreting the concept that everything is one, that everything is here, that everything is now. It's just being manifested in a kind of space-time way, where you recognize the coming together of things in a meaningful way that illustrates and reflects to you the meaning you have put into those particular props, those particular symbols. And it's being reflected back to you to show you this is what you're in alignment with. This is how good a manifester you are. This is how quickly you can manifest your awareness and experience of your connection to all that is and all the things in your life. Synchronicity is another symptom, if you wish, of expanding awareness. Another symptom, if you wish, of expanding awareness is to actually become more aware of the dark and the negative as well as the positive. Because again, remember, expansion and ascension is the product of integration, not segregation. You don't leave things behind when you advance, when you grow, when you expand, when you ascend. You take everything with you in a new way. And so to do that, you actually have to become more aware of the darkness, equally aware of the darkness as you are of the light. Again, we hear many people in your so-called New Age or spiritual age movement complaining that because they think they are so spiritually advanced, the idea of experiencing in their lives or being aware of negativity should be going away. No, just the opposite. The more aware you become, the more aware you become of everything. And that's the idea of integration, is that you're able to understand how to be aware of everything, but how to, in a relationship with it, become neutral toward it all. So that you can then choose what you prefer without devaluing what you don't.